Alright, so while the Miata is completely torn apart, I wanted to kind of start putting together some of the smaller things that needed to be fixed on the car. Let's start off with some small projects. This one's a big one that's been bugging me, and all the hot boy JDM drifters out there is gonna really enjoy this. Of course, it's everyone's favorite cheap NRG Prisma seat. So I've had this in the car for a little while. When I first mounted it, I used some Sparco brackets. I'll show you here in a minute. Some Sparco brackets, and kind of destroyed my stock sliders, the seat rails, to make it work. I want to do a version 2 of that. I really like the idea of it being adjustable still. Hot boy things, right? So this time around, before it is all bolted together, and some of the bolts seemed like they had broken free from the bracket, so the seat wasn't really sturdy at all. We're going to fix that this time around. I'm actually going to get some fabrication going on. And I have the seat out, and I figured, you know what? Let's not worry about bolts anymore. Let's weld the stock OEM Miata seat rails to the Sparco seat holder thingy. Anyways, yeah. So let's do that. I'll pick you up and kind of show you how I had it set up before and how we're gonna make this a more permanent fixture. All right, guys, so here is my Prisma bucket seat. So I've got the Sparco brackets on here, right? And it's mounted how it's supposed to be to the actual seat like that. That's fine. The difference is how I have the OEM seat rails attached to the bracket. So this is what I had going on before. So here's the bracket, and here are the OEM Miata sliders. You got the cord for the adjustment lever, and I just kind of somehow, I don't know how I did it honestly, but I've got it bolted in there, kind of drilled holes into the bracket, and I've got all 4 corners. It worked out okay for what it is, but as you can see, like on this one here, yeah, you can see right there, it's actually broken out of the entire brace. So it didn't work very well. It was a good idea, I guess, while it was in there, but I'm going to take this all out. I'm gonna double check, make sure everything's still lined up correctly. I know that I'm gonna have to fix, and then we'll probably make some markings on these rails. We'll take it all apart, prep it, and then weld it and see if it works. Don't let your friends borrow your tools. I don't know where my Allen key set went. Luckily I have the socket size for the Allen key that's the right size, but come on, man. We just cleaned this garage too. I don't know where they could have gone. You can see here is where that bolt had busted out. I don't know how that happened, but we're gonna weld it. So I marked here and here roughly where the rails sat on this one. Yeah, probably a safe thing than redoing this whole seat. That's sketchy. Something really important to take into account when, if you're gonna do this too and use your stock sliders, these teeth on here, if you can see them, those teeth, you wanna make sure that this is the lock. So when you pull this is what locks your seat in when you adjust it. So you just wanna make sure that on both of them, both sides, they are equal. Otherwise your seat is going to be so crooked, it's going to bind up, it's not going to adjust, it's going to be a nightmare. So just make sure that you have those lined up as they are supposed to be. We'll tack the brackets on, set them in the car, and see if the old measurements I had on here are still good. And if they're not, they're just tacked on there. We'll break the tacks and we should be fine. So let's do that. Let's start prepping the material. One thing I'd forgotten about with the original Miata seats. So in the car, they're obviously like this, right? But they sit off to the side a little bit. And the seat actually sits over a little bit. So it's not like it's dead center. I'm not sure why they did that. But with the bucket seat, when it was in the car, the door would get caught right here. It would smash into the door. And it would just bind everything up. I want to see if we can move the seat over just a little bit so the door clears. I know this is a really common issue with doing buckets in general, is you always have fitment issues with your door hitting the bolstering here. So we'll see how it fits. I still feel like the door is probably not going to clear, and that's fine if that's how it is. It's a really common issue with doing a bucket seat in your car. So alright, so what I've done is I grinded these ends here. When I go to weld it, I'm not going to weld it all the way across. It's unnecessary to go all the way across. So these are the main contact points there and here, and that's where I'll get most of the welds. So all we did is just two little simple tacks just there and there. Okay, so this side was actually a lot trickier to do than the other side. Even though the other side was the one that was crooked, this is the more like on the passenger side. But the weird thing is, so the rail, when I had it on here, lined up pretty even with here. So this is kind of my guide. And then you can see my old hole there I had drilled, that matches there, and back here matches with that hole. So the only difference is we only have this very small line that we can weld against because it's so flush. Fingers crossed this lines up pretty well. We'll see how this looks, but yeah, I'm gonna tack this side now. Car could not be messier right now. But anyways, I went ahead and bolted in the rails. I just did in the back bolts here, that one and that one. So now I just need to grab the seat and see if it actually slides in. So far everything is fitting up just fine. One of the tacks did break over here, which is fine. That's what they're for. But it's in. Everything looks like it should slide together, and then once the bolts are in it, it should snug everything up. Alright, so here we've got everything bolted back up into the seat. So one thing to keep in mind, so this guy, luckily we're taking these off again, but this cable is really finicky. The whole idea is when you pull this lever, you want it to move this mechanism right here. So what you have to do is just make sure it's tight on here. So this goes underneath and in, and then this little metal ring here kind of holds it together. I just kind of set it in there for now because we're going to take it back apart, but I'll kind of show you when we do the final fit up how to actually get this to mount to where it pulls this mechanism and this mechanism at the same time. Otherwise, you're gonna bind up the seat and these rails are not gonna line up. So same thing, remember, count your holes here, make sure they are all even on both sides of these mechanisms. Okay, we are still fighting the same issue where the seat just, it smashes into the door. You can actually see where it has cracked in the past from it, but I don't think there's gonna be a way around that. I'm gonna take it out, do the rails, weld them all the way up, and then I'll show you on that little wire how to like set up to make sure that both mechanisms work. First, let's get this out and take it all back apart again, finish welding it, and then get it in. Feel totally free to critique my welds. I'm not a welder by any means. I'm working the best I can at getting good at welding, but with the machine I have, Harbor Freight, it does the job. I actually really like this welder. I wouldn't call them dimes, but it's definitely stuck. So it's on there, it's good enough. It ain't gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna do the same to the other side, and then we'll put it back together and I'll show you how to put that little cable together. So let's weld the other one. Okay guys, so this is the other side. I haven't welded it yet, but my welds should be a lot prettier. I have a lot more material, so hopefully I can redeem my welds. I did not redeem myself, so that's on me. I think what I did was from another project. I think I had the wire speed too high, or I had voltage too high. I didn't even check it. I just plugged it in and went to town. But either way, it's a lot of material. I think this will be just fine. So, okay guys, so I've got you on my iPhone now. Sorry if the quality of the video is completely different. So this guy, I just have this kind of temporarily put on here. So you want to take this side off. The goal on this, so you can see how it has a hard end. You want to fish it through and have it go up into this hole here. It's a little cumbersome, so I can't really get it like this, but I just need to take this off and then fish it up and around in here. This is now taut. I just flipped it around and fished it up through here. My little ring that keeps this together kind of fell off, but it's honestly so tight that it doesn't need it. If I want to, I can throw a little zip tie on here, keep this together, but I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. But if you notice now, when you use your lever, watch both of these here and here. When you turn it, you see how it pulls both of them. That's what you want to happen. That way they can both slide. So if I pull it right now, they're probably all gonna shoot down. Maybe not, we got lucky. But that's, you see how it all the way opens? That's how it adjusts. So that's done, that's done. Everything's bolted in and everything's welded up. I will admit, it sits a little bit high. I am really short, so it's fine with me. But for other people, I know a lot of people have problems with getting the seats lower in their Miatas. There's ways to go about that. You can tub the chassis, what have you. But if you're trying to do it on a budget, I know it is a little bit expensive to get setups with the buckets to have them actually slide. This is a really good way to do it at home. As far as the door, I'm honestly going to just take this door card apart and hollow that out or something so it works. Big issue on Miatas here is this seal goes bad. Mine was bad and I got a new one. So next video I might do that where we go ahead and replace this seal, and I'll show you how. It is a little bit tricky. You have to take the whole entire door apart. So I'm not going to put it back in the car because I test fitted it, I bolted it, I know it works. As you can see, I have a lot more work to do than worry about a bucket seat in here right now, but I know it fits. So that's everything, guys. We got the seat figured out. It was a small project that we did. I think that's kind of going to be the plan here with this whole rebuild of the Miata, is just go through and do simple tasks, and eventually we'll have the car finished. I know the engine is going to be a big one. I need to order a lot of parts for this to build everything, which should be sooner than later, honestly. It's not that much money to get what I need. Just gaskets. I'm going to do ARP head studs. I'm going to do the coolant reroute, a few simple things just to make the engine, stronger. But I think that's going to do it for today, guys. Like I said, this is all just to be motivational for myself to help me push to fix my car. So if you liked it, I guess leave a like or something. Yeah. And then we'll just keep going. We'll catch you on the next one.